Hey y'all. So I think I'm starting to finally accept that I probably will not hit the 50,000 word goal this month. Unfortunately, it does put a little bit of a sour note on the 50,000 word goal. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but just kind of doing the math. At this point, if I stick with my original plan of taking Thanksgiving off, I probably won't. Yeah, this week has been interesting because I've been kind of caught in this weird area of not really knowing the words that aren't really flowing. Flow state is a really, really tricky thing to balance and keep in. So I figured like today I would kind of talk about what you can do if the words aren't flowing, if you aren't in a flow state. So one of the first things that you do is obviously change the order. So especially in a novel, you know, planster like myself, or plantster or whatever the word is, we kind of thrive on being able to plan out a lot of things beforehand. But there's also that sort of pantsing mentality where you're looking to just kind of write. And I think sometimes writing out of order kind of helps with that. There was a scene this week that I was writing inside my novel where I was like, man, this is grueling. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be kind of in this scene. And frankly, it made it very difficult to write. So I had a very difficult time getting in a flow state, especially while writing that particular scene. When you're writing a novel specifically, or any kind of narrative, remembering just because the reader is going to be reading it a certain way doesn't necessarily mean you have to write it that way. So kind of being a little quote unquote non-linear with the storytelling kind of helped a little bit, especially when I had to go back to that scene to complete it. That's the one thing, is that if you do that trick, you also just got to remember to obviously go back and actually finish what you started writing. I think the second thing is that changing the scene. This is tough for somebody that's a planner like myself. Is that sometimes the planning process, you plan something out and it feels great then, but as you start writing it and you sort of read it, it doesn't come off the way that you originally intended. I'll go back to that scene again, is that I feel like there was so much, because it's such a major tonal shift, there's a lot of exposition that really needs to be in there, plus you're also meeting two characters, so it was like, there's just so much stuff, and it felt like it was just dragging on, and on, and on, and it didn't have a lot of movement around because they were in a prison cell, so you couldn't do a whole lot of movement. I mean, you could pace back and forth. But aside from pacing back and forth, there just wasn't a whole lot of movement that they would be able to do. So, going back to what I was talking about, sometimes just changing the scene also can help a little bit with that as well. It's also shown me that I need to spread some of those details out a little bit. If it's a tough manuscript to write, chances are your readers aren't really going to enjoy reading it. There's obviously exceptions to that rule, but you know, you should be enjoying writing it, and that's usually a decent sign that your readers will enjoy reading it. The next tip that I kind of had too is that going back to that sort of getting into the mindset of a writer, is I myself, I like to write to music. And I think part of it is that just the music that I listen to while I'm writing kind of allows me to get into that state of, hey, I'm getting into the mode of this world that I'm creating. Being able to kind of have a soundtrack to kind of match with that made it a little bit easier. The story that I'm currently writing right now kind of includes some sort of like anime style tropes, particularly around like giant robots and that kind of stuff. So I actually took a song and kind of cut it to make it like a TV size opening theme. Cheesy, absolutely, but it worked perfectly. Like every time that I get in and listen to that song, like immediately it puts me in the mood of like, yes, the show is starting. The show is starting. I can go ahead and write. And that also kind of helped with pacing too, is that episodic. I thought of it kind of an episodic frame where it's like, am I putting too much detail into this? Is this getting too long for the episode, or is this episode not interesting enough to keep people's attention? The next one is that sometimes you just gotta take a bit of a break. Now that could be a break from writing, but it could also mean just taking a break just from that story at the moment. I think sometimes as writers, we always have ideas and things inside of our minds. And honestly, it's not just writers. I think every creative kind of has several. That's one of the joys of being a creative, is that you have a ton of ideas all the time. It's a blessing and a curse. But sometimes just kind of letting yourself get out of that mode, and just kind of play around in another space for a little bit. I know some people refer to this as cheating in NaNoWriMo. I do not believe that. The idea with NaNoWriMo is just to write. So if you are writing 50,000 words, you are writing 50,000 words, no matter what story they end up in. Because plenty of people write more than one manuscript. If you're writing a novella's not 50,000 words. So, you'd probably have multiple works if you're going to go for the full goal. But anyway, the idea is that when you're writing, you're writing. It counts. So whatever that writing is, the idea is that flow state, because it is kind of like a river or kind of like an ocean current, you have to be able to keep that current going. And sometimes that means using other tools to help it flow. And then, of course, you can't be in flow state if your other parts are not in good place. So if your mental is not in the right space, if your physical is not in the right space, it's very, very difficult to be able to stay in flow state. I can tell you myself is that on days where I've been tired after work is generally the days where I don't do a whole lot of writing. Most of my writing has kind of been done on my days off, or times where I've been able to join like a write-in, so I'm kind of connected with that energy. That's just some tips kind of around it. I'll be honest with you, this week has been kind of rough staying in flow state. So doing things like the all-nighter last night, which I apologize that I did not stream all night. One thing I did kind of learn about myself is that it is very difficult for me to write and host a stream at the same time. So there was a lot of dead spots in there. Probably not a great experience watching. Participating though, it was pretty cool. And I did have some people stay in for quite a while, so that was also fun as well. Shout out to all the people that watched my stream last night. And I apologize to anybody else on Instagram that did not get the notification about it. That's kind of it. I didn't really have all that much more to say. Again, this week has basically just been work and writing. I did some more write-ins, which was cool. But I kind of talked a lot about that last week, getting back in that mode, talking about community 56 times. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this little vlog. And I hope it was beneficial for you. You're able to get some information from it. And if you're still out there writing, it's November 19th. We're almost there. We got 11 more days to keep it up. So whether you're going for the 50 or whether you'll not hit it, the just is what it is. The idea is that we want to just enjoy the process. We want to enjoy the writing and all that great stuff. So with that, I'm going to say peace out, guys. And I'll see you either later this week or next Sunday. I'm sure there'll probably be some stuff this week. Obviously Thanksgiving being here, and all that great stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how the flip to the Christmas holiday affects the writing process as well. So peace out. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the little bell on the subscription button to get notifications. So that way you're notified of things like these videos, as well as things like the stream that I did last night. So again, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye. Lovely. Don't you hate it when you, there's things I love and hate about my Apple Watch. One of them is that it decides that it wants to send me notifications at literally the worst times. So in that, you know, you just want to, I don't know what this motion is. For some reason, like some of these things like help me think. I don't know if it's just like there's got to be a word for that somewhere. Like that has to be an actual thing. It just, movement kind of helps you remember to come up with things. I also do this a lot too, where I just kind of talk until I finally discover what I was originally going to say. Oh yeah, readers.